All right, hello. So this is hopefully a short orientation to GDS 45 web design with HTML and CSS. So this is an online class, and my name is Mark Garrett, and my phone number is 408-855-5293. That's my department or my office phone number. My email is mark.garrett@michigancollege.edu, but actually if you're going to contact me, it's better to go through Canvas, which we will look at. That way your email won't get lost as easily or in with all my other stuff. So keeps it more organized for both of us. Office hours, you need to check the current syllabus for that in case, depending on when you see this video, office hours change, so you can check that. I will probably have some office hours online as well, so I will announce that and give you a URL where you can meet me online if you want to do that during office hours. You can also call the phone number during in-person office hours, this phone number above, but you'll see about that too as well on the actual syllabus. My office location is GC 321B, which is in Gilmore Center on the 3rd floor. And then you need to check the current syllabus for the final date and time too, because that changes every semester as well. So, okay, so we're going to use Canvas to facilitate the class. You've probably used Canvas, but if you haven't, I will give you a quick tour now. Let's do it now. So here is Canvas. Looks a little different depending on, if you're a student or a faculty like I am. But basically, you'll see a home page with some instructions. Some of this we're going to go through today, but links to the weekly instructions and video lectures and things like that. There's also a discussion section where you can post questions. So that's part of your grade, is to kind of ask and answer questions in the discussion forum, or post there when I ask you to, that kind of thing. There's a modules section which will show you there'll be weekly modules. Where you're mostly for Dropboxes and some source files where you can turn in your assignments, things like that. So you'll see that. You can check your grades under grades. That makes sense. So just go to the grades link there. It's right there, and that will let you allow you to check your grades. Again, it looks different for you because you're a student, right? Under people, you'll see people that are enrolled for the class. You may see some other sections too. This might change depending on the semester, but there may be a collaboration section, a conference section. If we use this, I'll let you know in the detailed instructions, but you may see those show up. There also is a link to NetTutor. I'm not sure that will actually help you with this class, but if you do want a tutor, I will get to that in a little bit. There is the tutoring center may have tutors for this class depending on the semester and if we have people for it, that kind of thing. So I'll get to that in a little bit. But purchase course materials, I'm not sure there's anything under there for you either, but you could, it's possible, but I'm going to show you where you can get the materials, the book, and things like that in a little bit. The rest of this is grayed out because there's nothing published right now, but you can see there's quizzes and assignments and things like that. Assignments may not be visible, actually. All that stuff will be under modules. That's probably good on that. So that is Canvas. Oh, I did want to show you the calendar. The calendar is where you can see due dates for things. So a lot of times on the instructions page, I'll say check the calendar for due dates, and there's the calendar. There's nothing on it right now, but that's where you can see where due dates are. And then this is also how you can message me. And remember, I said it's better to use Canvas instead of email to message me. So if you go to inbox and then you click on this little compose, and then you select the course you want to talk about, and then you put in a subject, and my name should pop up hopefully for you. But if you start typing, let's see if I go here, if I start typing me, yeah, see, there I am. So you select me and then put a subject, and it's just like email. You just send me a message there, and that way it'll keep it organized and we can all keep our communication straight. But in general, unless you have some specific question about your own situation, usually you can post things to the, let me go back here, you can post things to the discussion forum, and that way I can answer it, and other people may have the same question, and or other people can answer it as well. So it's better to post sort of general questions about homework and things there, or assignments and stuff, because that way everybody can see it, and I will see it, and I will answer it, and everybody else can see the answer too. You can also answer people's questions too. That's great. That's awesome. Then everybody kind of benefits from that, and so, as opposed to me telling everybody individually different things or the same thing. Okay, so that's probably good for Canvas. Let's go ahead and move on. So the weekly instructions are located on this web page. Let me just put this side to side since we're kind of going back and forth here. That is this page here. So this will obviously look different when you see it. It's a different semester, etc. But basically, I'll post all the things to do for that week, and I'll basically update it at least once a week. Sometimes more, but at least once a week. And I'll post everything that's due that week, everything to do, all the assignments, all the requirements, all the links, all the resources, all that kind of stuff on this page. So that's kind of your one-stop shop for that. There's also a link there to the video tutorials right there. So you'll see the video tutorials for each week that go along. Some of them are more reference-oriented. Some of them are exercises where you kind of follow along and kind of do what I do, and then hopefully learn some stuff that way. But that's where those are, and those are linked from there as well. So those links are also here on the syllabus and probably will be on your syllabus too. So that's the weekly instructions and the video lectures. Those are outside of Canvas for various reasons, but the links are easy to get to. The links are also in Canvas to that. There's also a general page that I have for Mission College. It's this one. It probably looks different when you see it as well. There you can find links to my other classes. You can see a link to, or you can see the Facebook post and other things, or Facebook feed. There's also a link to the Academic Support Center, which will have their hours. And let me see if the link still works here. I think it's redirecting. Yeah, so here's the Academic Support Center. So this is where you can actually go, and it's kind of like an open lab, but also has tutoring. So if you need to use some of the software or that we use in class, or you need a computer to work on, and you're at school, obviously, you're on campus, which you don't have to be, but you could, then you can go there, and basically you would say, I need to use Photoshop, or I need to use whatever you need to use, and then bring your student ID, and they will check out a computer to you. They have computers there that have the software that we use in our classes, so you should be good to go. They also might have tutors, like I said, depending on the semester, and if we have somebody for this class available that specific semester, it's kind of depends on the semester. If you need a tutor besides me, then ask me about that, and I will let you know if there is a tutor for the current semester in your subject. So that makes sense. It also has their hours there, and this will change, so go ahead and check this page on the Mission website for that kind of information. I think that's good. So obviously you've seen the portal probably, so that's where you can add classes and things like that. And again, don't forget you can check your grades on Canvas. And my comments will be there. Sometimes I do written comments, sometimes I do audio comments, sometimes I do video comments. So it depends on the assignment and what kind of works and what's going on. But yeah, you can see all that kind of stuff there, so don't forget that. Okay, so let's talk about the class a little bit. How about that? So this course focuses on design and technical skills required to create effective web designs using HTML, CSS, and a variety of software. So we'll talk about software in a little bit, but HTML and CSS are two of the three kind of coding, scripting languages that you would use on front-end web design, which means front-end means what the user actually sees, like the website itself, as opposed to back-end, which usually means something on the server side where the files are. Like if you have Amazon, say you're talking about Amazon, Amazon.com, the front end would be what the user sees, like the pictures and the text and all that kind of stuff. The back end would be the database that stores all the pictures of the products and the information and prices and all that kind of stuff. So we're talking about front end here. So we're doing HTML and CSS. They are not full-blown programming languages, so don't freak out or get scared or anything. no previous experience is required for this class. You do not have to be a programmer. You will learn a little bit. And it's not really, like I said, most of it's not, HTML is not really programming per se, and CSS isn't really either. And we're not going to really do much JavaScript in this class. That's the third technology for front-end web development. If you're talking about development, you're talking about kind of coding. That one is introduced in the intermediate class, and then also we have dedicated JavaScript classes, so don't have to really worry about that either. So we're going to go over the things about design, obviously, things like type, typography, color, layout, things like that, and basic coding skills. So you will learn how to code and design at the same time, which is design and development at the same time. We're placing emphasis on industry standard workflows and best practices, things like that. There is a pass, no pass option available, which means if you get enough points for a C, you get a pass, and if you don't, you get a no pass. The benefit of that is it doesn't affect your GPA or anything. So if you just want to take the class and you don't want to worry about a specific grade, you could change, select a pass, no pass option. And you can, last time I checked, you can use pass, no pass for certificates as well. So it doesn't, you can do that also. You do have to file the paperwork for that, I believe, in the first 30% of the course. So depending on if it's a summer or semester, you can kind of figure that out. I don't have anything to do with that. I don't even know if you're pass, no pass. It's a secret, I guess. So you need to take that up with the admissions and records, and I think you just file a form that says I want to be pass, no pass, and that's it. So that is available for this class, though. All right, let's move along. Sorry I'm going a little quick, but this is kind of like, you know, housekeeping kind of stuff. So you can find the syllabus in Canvas, but I'll also send it. I probably already sent it to you by the time you've seen this. So you'll have a syllabus, which we're looking at now, kind of a version of the syllabus. There is help for Canvas on Canvas, so you can see that there. Lessons are basically under the modules link. That's more like Dropboxes and things like that. I showed you the weekly instructions page, and I showed you the video page, and those links are in the Canvas as well as in the syllabus, so you can find those pretty easily. Watch the video orientation. You're watching it right now. You did that. Sweet. You're done. Well, almost. Make sure to post questions and reply to posts on the discussion forum. Like I said, that's a good way for us to all learn. If you post a question there and then somebody answers it or I answer it, then everybody can see it. So that's the way to do that. Let's move down to software. It talks about software a little bit. I'll get to that in a minute. So we are going to use Photoshop a little bit, but other software we're going to use is free. So we'll talk about that for a second in a minute. Homework is actually due on midnight on the due date. So on that calendar page, if it says it's due like a Monday or a Tuesday, it'll be due 11:59, something like that. Midnight, basically, on that day. So that is that. I do accept late homework if necessary for 1 week past the due date. So if something was due this Monday, you have another week to turn in late work. It does lose 20% of the points, but minus 20% is better than 0, right? So make sure you turn everything in. If you turn everything in on time, I can almost guarantee you're going to get a good grade and do fine in the class, because you just will. But make sure you turn everything in. I realize that sometimes things come up and you couldn't get something in, or you were sick for a week or whatever. But basically that is it. Just 1 week past the due date, and then after that, not really. So, and that prevents, people, students waiting and procrastinating and turning in everything, trying to do everything the last week. It's not going to work. So anyway, that's that. We talked about pass, no pass. Make sure you notify admissions and records during the first 30% of the term. This will make sense later, but you want to always validate your assignments before you submit them. So I'll show you how to do that. It will check, you can have online services check your files and see if they're right. It kind of helps a lot. Helps you spot mistakes and things like that, and helps you learn a little bit. Let's see, this is more about turning in stuff. How to turn in files with multiple folders, so you can check that out when you get to that point. I think that is about it for that. So let's move on to the text. So we just changed, during this video anyway, to a new version of the book. It's the 5th edition, Learning Web Design, A Beginner's Guide to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it's a great book. It is available for purchase probably in the bookstore and definitely on Amazon. But as of right now, for this video anyway, it is available through the library, the Mission College Library, for free access to it. So that uses a service called Safari Books Online, which I'll show you in a minute. And there's also a guide to how to use that. And these pages might change depending on the semester if the library redoes their file. But here's the file I was talking about as far as this library guide. Shows you how to sign up for Safari Books. And then here is Safari Books itself. And let me back up to the actual book here. Let's go to the front. So this is the book. So this is an online version of the book, and it is available for you to use through our it's new during this video anyway, our account with Safari Books Online. So once you sign up, you'll have access to this and you won't have to buy it. Awesome, right? Saves you a little money. That's great. So that is that book. Some county libraries also offer free online access to that book through Safari Online. You need to check your county library. I've heard that I think I may have heard a rumor that the versions might be different as far as how they're presented or the way you can access them or something. So feel free to check that out through your county library as well. Maybe the bookmarking is better or something, because Safari Books changes depending on how you access it a little bit. We also might utilize some other books and content through Safari Books Online. It's a huge library and it has a lot of the books that we use in our courses, which is great, and you get to use it. So that's good. The second book is The Principles of Beautiful Web Design, 3rd edition. That is not in, at least during this video anyway, it's not in Safari Books Online, so that one you do need to get. You can get it pretty cheaply, different places, Amazon. You can also get a membership to learnable.com and download a PDF of it, that kind of thing, and there may be a trial membership available, but that is the other book. This one's more technically oriented, the first book, and this one's more about the design stuff like typography. So we have 2 books for that. And then the third book, this is not required, this is just recommended, but it's also available through Safari Books. It's called Don't Make Me Think, A Common Sense Approach to Web Usability. It's a great, short, easy book to read, fun book to read, and it talks about how to make websites easier to use, which is half the battle, right? If you make it easy to use, people like to go back, right? So that's a possibility to take a look at, and that one's free through right now anyway through Safari Books Online. Okay, student learning outcomes. What are you going to learn? You're going to create websites. That's why you signed up, right? Using HTML, CSS, and software that we will get to in a minute again. And you're going to talk about identify, discuss, and apply design principles like typography. Typography is the design of type, color, and layout to the creation of websites. Course content, we'll talk a little bit about the web and a little bit of the history of it. We'll talk about the phases of production, what steps you take when you're designing a website or a web page, that kind of thing. We'll talk about basic website structure, web page structure. None of this will make much sense right now because you haven't learned it yet. So I'm going to kind of skip that. But you can take a look at that when you want to, if you ever want to. But you'll learn it in the class. Okay, so materials and software. I always mention Flash, USB storage recommended, back up your work. What I really mean by that is don't just have one copy of your work on some little USB drive or a USB thumb drive that you lose or breaks and then your many hours of work is gone. That's kind of silly, right? They're almost free now. So just have at least 2 copies of your work in different places. That's what I mean by backup. We will be using Photoshop a little bit. So there are some links here to some places you can get Photoshop. Store.collegebuys.org. Let me show you those over here actually. So here is, let's see, this is how you can get Photoshop or Creative Cloud. So this is the Creative Cloud photography account, and that would do for this class. Let me zoom in here a little bit. This only has Photoshop and Lightroom, which would get you by in this class because the rest of the software that we use is free. You don't have to use any other Adobe apps besides actually just Photoshop. You will need Photoshop a little bit though. So this one is $9.99 a month. So if you're, say this is a summer school class, you could do it for $20, right? Because you could do 2 months. Or if it's a semester, it's 4 months. But that's a possibility. That may be the cheapest way to do it. These other two are all the apps by month. Those are a little bit pricier. There's $20 a month. That includes Photoshop and Illustrator and all kinds of apps for $20 a month. That is a little bit more money though. If I go to collegebuys.org, which is in this list of links here, that is this one, you can get all that for less. So if I go start shopping here, I'm going to go to student and select my state and select my school, Mission College. And then I click submit. And then you can see I can get, it's probably on the first page somewhere. Here's Adobe Creative Cloud for students right here. So what this has is the whole, not all, but almost all the Adobe apps for a year for $170. And that sounds like a lot, but the regular price is like $600. So it's a huge discount. So if you want all the apps, you're taking other classes, you're taking Photoshop or Illustrator or something like that, and you need all those apps, I would probably go that route. If you wanted to do just Photoshop, I don't see it here, but they probably have it here somewhere. Let's see if we go to Adobe. Yeah, I don't really see it, so they might not have just the Photoshop version, which is this one that we looked at. That's $9.99 a month. So you might only be able to get this through the actual Adobe website. But anyway, so those are the two options. Either you could just do the creative photography plan, which just has Photoshop and Lightroom. You need Photoshop. Or you could do the whole Creative Cloud and use everything. So that is probably that. Those apps, though, are available in the Academic Support Center. So if you are on campus or can get to campus and you don't want to buy any software or lease any software or rent any software, you could use the software in Academic Support Center. They have Photoshop and all that stuff there already for you. Okay, a few other things, and then we'll hit a couple of resources at the end here. So grading, again, you lose 20% if something is late. I'll accept it for 1 week past the due date because I'm so nice. Pretty nice, anyway. Remember, you can do the class as pass, no pass. I do have a little statement here about plagiarism and original independent work. So in this class, you can use content for your websites for assignments that is from another website. What I mean by that is, say I have you do an assignment where you kind of do an news article or something. You don't have to write the article yourself. You can just copy and paste from another website. And I'll let you know on a case-by-case basis on that kind of thing. The catch is, if you do want to publish these websites that you're making or web pages that you're making in this class, meaning you're going to put it on the actual internet and anybody can see it, that means you do need rights to everything, meaning you wrote the copy or the text yourself, or you got permission to use it, you bought stock images to use for photos, you didn't just steal images off someone else's website. That would be copyright infringement. So for educational purposes, we can use copywritten material on our example practice websites, but you can't really publish it legally. Sometimes you can, depending on what the rights are for the individual content, but generally no. So just remember that. Also don't want you to use templates and things that you find on the internet for assignments, because that's not really what we're doing. You're not going to learn much that way. So that's another thing is don't try to look up some finished web page and change a couple words and that's your assignment, because you're not going to get anywhere doing that really. So don't do that either. The rest of this is kind of general information that goes on every syllabus now. They're kind of like big legal documents now. I kind of need a lawyer to read all this stuff. But for example, just highlight a couple things. If you need some help with disabilities, you can contact DSPS. So that's something you can do, and let me know if you have an issue with that, and contact them and me, and then we'll try to work that out. Anything else here? Their tutoring information, like I said, the Academic Support Center, you can get tutoring there sometimes, depending on the semester, and that's in Student Engagement Center room 154. That's where that lab is. I think that is about it. You can read the rest of this when you are sleepy and you want to fall asleep. That'll help with that. Let me get back to a couple of the resources, and then I think we're just about done. So we looked at the Academic Support Center, we looked at the video page, we looked at the instructions page. This is the website for the first book, Learning Web Design. It's a good resource as well, so sometimes I'll have you do exercises from the book, and you can just go there and download the exercises right there. There's also articles and other bonus chapters and stuff, free stuff there. So that is where that is, just learningwebdesign.com. Here is Safari Books Online. That's the online version of the book. We looked at that a little bit. This is brackets. So what is brackets? So I mentioned Photoshop. We're going to use Photoshop. We're also going to use a text editor. So when we make our actual web pages, we use just basically a plain text editor. What I mean by plain text, it's not a word processor. It's not like Word or anything like that where you're just using it to write things with. You're actually coding with it. So you want something that makes plain text, which means it's not formatted, bold and things like that. So that's what this is. There's tons of different text editors. A lot of them are free. There's a lot of great ones. Brackets is good because it has live preview and some other things that you'll see in some of the videos. It's free. It's Mac and PC. It's good to go. It'll be updated. It's updated all the time. This is probably a different version now by the time you see this. And you just click on that, download it, and it's free, and you'll see that a little bit later. So that is brackets. Like I said, there are others. You can use any text editor you want. Some are one's called Atom. You can use Notepad++. You can use all kinds of different ones. But generally, the videos that I'm showing you are done in most of them, or a lot of them, in brackets. Some of them are in other editors, but it's basically the same thing. It's just editing text. They have different features and things, but yeah, some of the videos are different editors though that I've tried out and used for different videos. So, but most of them are brackets probably. So that is the software that you need, brackets. That's it, and Photoshop. This is lynda.com. I wanted to make sure you knew about that. You probably have heard of it before, but it's really good resource for kind of learning different skills and things. It's not free though. I think it's about $40 a month. So, but if you do have the money and you want to subscribe, you can check out videos there on Photoshop and web design and all kinds of things. Thousands and thousands of videos. But it is a subscription service. This is our department webpage, which is a little funky to get to. So this is a new version of the website, which just was put up when this video was made. So it's probably older by the time you see this, but not much, maybe. So to find the department webpage, you go under Programs and Courses, and then go to Departments, and then go down to Academic Departments, and then Graphic Design and Multimedia. So there's a few steps there, but once you get there, the reason I'm showing you this is because you can see information about the department, different programs and things. Over here on the right, you have different degrees and certificates. Here's graphic design, and you can see the classes that are required, and this will probably be updated too by the time you see this, or maybe not, if it's current, depending on if it's current. So we have degrees and certificates in graphic design, graphic arts, digital illustration, web development, which is kind of what you're doing in this class, web design also, which is also what you're doing in this class. So lots of different things to check out. So I just want to make sure you knew that existed, and you can see the courses required for different certificates and things. I think that is about it. Yeah, we hit all that stuff. So one last thing I wanted to show you is a little tool that you can use, and sometimes you might see it in a video, but maybe not every time. Probably not every time. You can use a browser such as Chrome or Firefox to sort of debug your pages. So if I go to this page here and I right-click onto anything, there's a little thing that says Inspect. And then you'll get this window that pops up. It may pop up in the same window or attached or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can move it around. But what this does is it shows you your code for the page. Now this won't mean anything yet, probably, but it will, and it's a good tool to use to check out what's going on your page or anybody's page. It works on any page. It basically shows you the code under the hood that is making this page work. And so it has both HTML, this is HTML over here, and it has CSS over here. And you can turn on and off things, and it actually changes the page sometimes depending on what you click on. There you go, it's changing it a little bit right there. So that is a good tool to remember if you're trying to figure out what's going on with your code. And like I said, this doesn't make probably doesn't make a ton of sense right now because you haven't done any of this yet. But just remember that that exists, and it's in both Firefox and Chrome. Those are the two browsers I would recommend you use for while you're in the class to look at your pages. So, okay, so I think that is all. You will see more details about all that kind of stuff very soon in the following videos, and I'll see you online.